Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode number 241 of the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media. It's been a little while since we checked in with this guy, and why not? They got a big weekend series with the New York Yankees coming into town. He's been pitching pretty good baseball. That would be Logan Webb of your San Francisco Giants. Greetings, my friend. How are you?
Rosie, I'm doing good. It's good to see you. It has been a while.
I know. It's always interesting. I told Chris Bassett this last week when we had him on. Like, I always try and figure out the perfect time to ask a guy, particularly a starting pitcher, because, like, if you don't have a great performance, I don't want to bother you right after that. You've been pitching pretty well the last few, but then, like, the team didn't play great after you left the game. And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to bother him, like, 24 hours right after a tough loss. Like, how quickly are you able to wash that stuff off?
We can honestly do it next day. I mean, it's baseball. That's what makes baseball fun, right? Weird stuff happens. Obviously, I mean, earlier this year after I think I had two really tough ones.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been like, but after these last ones, of course I would have done it.
Yeah, that's my fault, not your fault. Is there a guy that you had to learn that from when you were coming up? Like, hey, you're going to get your dick kicked in occasionally as a starting pitcher, bro. If you start 32 times in a year, you're going to have a couple where they just suck.
Yeah. I forget. Samardzija would always say some stuff about it. And then Gosman would talk about it. It's like, you make 30 starts, hopefully make over 30 starts. It's like, you're going to have 10 really good ones. You're probably going to have 15 or so mediocre ones where it's like you got to grind through it, and then you're going to have 5 bad ones. And you just got to figure out how to make those 5 bad ones, like, limit it a little bit. And that's really how it goes. And that's what, I try to tell the young guys. We've got a couple young guys, and they'll go like 6 and give up 3. And I'm like, they're mad because they think they didn't pitch well. I'm like, you pitch great. I said, you might not. So if that's the worst you're going to do, you're going to be just fine. So, but yeah, I think you're always going to have bad ones. There's always some random ones where you're like, I don't even know what happened. I've had plenty of those for sure.
So when do you know? When do you know that, like, is it the minute you arrive at the ballpark? Is it something you're feeling? Is it the minute you pick up a baseball in the pen? When do you know either you're like, holy shit, nobody's going to touch me? Or you're like, man, this is going to be a lot of work today.
It's usually the first inning. How you feel. Before the game, the bullpen does not matter. I've had the worst pregame bullpens in the world, and I've gone out and thrown 7 scoreless. And I've had the best. Actually, this year I faced the Red Sox. I think that was my worst outing. I didn't know where the ball was going. I was struggling. Before in the pen, I didn't miss a spot. Like, it was probably the best pregame pen I've ever had, and I ended up going out there and not doing very well. But I think, it's you always look back afterwards and like, man, you're like, I kind of was feeling weird before the game. I feel like I wasn't really, there's always like little things that you look back on. You're like, a very superstitious baseball player, we're the worst. But you're always like, man, I forgot to do this, or I forgot to do that. And then you're like, man, just wasn't like, maybe I wasn't locked in enough, or maybe I wasn't. And then you realize, like, okay, then you try to fix it, and you realize that it probably had nothing to do with it that day. But I think first inning's definitely when like, I got it today, or it's going to be a grind today. Sometimes it's just going to be a grind. How do I get through 6 today?
Well, I'm curious. You talked about the superstitious stuff. I know that you always love to text with your grandmas before.
Yes.
That's really important for you. What else is there in the Logan Webb closet when we open up the superstition drawer?
Okay. All right. Probably my biggest one is I drank 3 Red Bulls. I don't know. I think have we talked about that before?
What?
Yeah, it's not great. It's not. I started doing it a long time ago, and so this started with my dad. I blame it on my dad because he used to get us like Red Bulls or like. Do you remember those like Go Girls. Remember those?
Yes.
Those I used to drink those Monsters. Um, we used to have them for every like game. So I've just kind of carried it on. Now it's turned into because they're smaller at the field, and as soon as I get to the field, I have this. I wear what I'm wearing to the or yeah, what I'm wearing to the field. I walk to the training room, put eye drops in. I do a certain amount of Q-tips. I walk out. I make a hydration drink, and I drink my first Red Bull. And then I sit there. I do just hang out for a while. 2 hours before on the dot, I put my heat pack on, and I drink my Red Bull, and I call my dad. I FaceTime my dad and my wife. I'll FaceTime them both. Just say, "Love you. I'll see you after the game," or "Talk to you after the game." This and that. Then I go get my stretch, do all that stuff. Um, I do my warm up routine, and before I do my last two things, I do like some bands and like the wrist weights. Before I do those two things, I go and I get another Red Bull, and that's my last Red Bull, and it's always at the exact same time every single time. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I wish I didn't do that, but I'm in there now. I got to do it.
So at what time is your last Red Bull?
Probably about 50 minutes before the game.
Okay. Every pro athlete has always told me the secret to success is getting your heart rate down. The guys who can keep their dude, if you're drinking 3 Red Bulls before you get out there, forget about it, dude.
Yeah. Well, I get my heart rate up so that when I warm up and I'm throwing in the pen, I kind of like that's my time to maybe calm it down. I don't know. I honestly, there are some times where I drink that third one, and I'm like, I shouldn't drink this right now. Like I got the jitters. But especially day games. Day games, I'm like, man. I was like, I probably shouldn't have this right now. But sometimes I'll drink like half of the last one. It's not always the full one. I kind of because they're no joke. I'll be like, man, I'm a little jittery right now. I should probably not have this right now.
Well, I mean, David Wells back in the day would slip something else in there, mix it with the
Yeah.
Red Bull. Just
Oh
telling you.
yeah. Well, that's you talk to the guys that played a long time ago, and they talk about how I know what you're talking about. The leaded and unleaded coffee or
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. If we had that nowadays, that'd be. I mean, day games. We had this last one. We played 2 day games, two day games in New York.
Hmm?
Flew home, got back at 11:30, 12. Played another day game against the Phillies the next
Hmm?
day, and it was like. And then we went night game, and then back to a day game. Those would help a lot for those games for sure.
Are you a plane sleeper?
No,
I mean,
unfortunately, I'm not.
I can't either. I've traveled for
Yeah,
decades and decades for work, and I've never. I mean, I can count on one hand the number of times I've fallen asleep on a plane. I can't do it.
yeah. I can't do it. I first of all I twitch. So I'll jump and when I sleep on the plane.
Hmm.
When I do that, I've done it before where I've fallen asleep on accident, right? I'm just like kind of tired, falling asleep. And I'll wake up I'm moving everywhere and I turn and this random guy's looking at me. And I'm like, well, I'm not falling asleep again.
Are you a poker player?
I am, unfortunately. I'm not
Okay.
very good. I'm
So
not very good.
who's in the game?
It's me, Conforto, Yaz, Luke Jackson, Chapman, all the Patty Bailey's a good poker player for sure. He learned from Jock. Jock's a good
Oh,
Jock's a good poker player. Oh, I wouldn't say good. He just brings more money than everybody else and kind of big dicks the table. Um, but yeah, Patty's pretty good.
yeah. Because for people that don't know, like Miguel Rojas has told us this, and Miguel's like a big time poker player. Like in his off season home down in the Miami area, he'll just go play tournaments. But his deal is he's like, I can't sit at the same table as Clayton Kershaw on the plane. I'm just going to get, I don't bring that sort of ammunition. Now, you could if you wanted to, you could, but you're smart. You're being adult about this. Do you play at the big kids table?
I do, yeah, I do. I lose a lot too. I probably lose more than anybody else on the team, unfortunately.
So what do I need to do? I used to call poker back in the day, like
So
20, 50.
I used to be just like, I was just a good time, I'm just there for the good time. I'll be there. I'll play most of the hands. This year I'm trying to play like real. Like I tried to like study it. I'm playing the right way, and it just hasn't gone my way. It just happens, it hasn't gone my way. Hopefully the tides turn a little bit here. My just gotta stay on that. Can't go back to stupid poker, right? You gotta play smart.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy. It's some of these hands get out of a little crazy. I'm just like, man, like I have something right that early, bet a decent amount. I'm like, there's no way anybody else bets here, and they'll bet with me, and I'm like, Jesus. And then all of a sudden they river something. It's not real poker on planes. It's not like, it's not the way you're supposed to play, right? Guys will stay in with 3-8 or 3-9 just because they were the big blind, right? And then they'll bet 1,000. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then they'll hit. Of course, they hit on the times they have that, right? They'll have, and that's just kind of how it goes, right? So there's a little frustration there sometimes, but it's a blast. It's a blast.
Of course, it's fun. What's not fun is losing 10 grand. Let's get past. I don't care how much you make. Losing 10 grand is losing 10 grand.
Exactly.
So let's just say this. Just play conservatively. The next time you guys have a flight, I know you guys are home, but the next time you have a fairly lengthy flight that you guys are getting into, play as tight as possible. And that's the key. It's just like when you're pitching. It's all about timing, throwing off the hitter's timing. Well, you got to change who you are. So sometimes, fine, be as disciplined as you can the next time. That's your homework assignment. And let me know how that goes, okay?
Sounds good. All right.
And if you lose another 10, if you lose another 10 grand, I didn't give you the information. Fair enough?
It'll be the one hand, too, that I play.
I know, right? Exactly. You'll get it.
The pocket aces, and the ace comes out early. And I'm just like, I got to play.
And I'm telling you right now, if you get pocket jacks, throw that shit away. That is my worst hand. I get pocket jacks, I start sweating profusely.
I hate that hand. It's the worst hand.
Hate it. Because I just don't know what to do. I've never figured that one out. All right, more of the show's coming your way, but first, you know how much I love my Sydney, my little pooch that we rescued over a decade ago. Well, we made a change in her diet, like, I don't know, 8 to 10 months ago. And I got to tell you, she loves the farmer's dog food. It is developed with vets. It is made fresh from real meat and veggies. It is perfectly portioned for your dog, and it is delivered right to your door. Highest quality food. They send it pre-portioned, so you don't have to say, well, how much do I put in her bowl? No. They got it figured out. They send her the perfect packet. Actually says her name, Sydney, on it. All you do is you take it out of the ice box that they send it in, stick it in the freezer. About 24 hours before you need a new bag, you stick it in the fridge. It'll thaw out, and it is perfect. All you have to do is head on over to thefarmersdog.com. You fill out a little brief questionnaire. It takes less than 5 minutes. Basically, the breed of your dog, how old your dog is, what it normally eats, how much exercise, and voila, they're going to take care of you. So you say, so long to that kibble, that crunchy stuff. I hate listening to dogs eat that sort of stuff. The canned goo, get it out of here. Get the perfect dog food for them. It'll make them healthier. We're talking about a better coat and skin, better breath. As much as we all love our pooches out there, that stuff can be on fire. It's like they're a sports writer up there in Massachusetts or something. Gets nasty. Better digestion, better poops. That's a big thing as well. And it doesn't matter if your dog is old or young. This is the perfect dog food for them. Help keep your dog healthy, playing ball with you. Oh, you're also going to get half off your first box at thefarmersdog.com/rose. Plus, you get free shipping, which is no little thing because it comes in a really big box. Once again, head on over to thefarmersdog.com/rose. Get 50% off. And most importantly, get 100% of the love that your dog has to offer. Because every time I open the fridge and it's time to feed Sydney, she looks up at me and she goes, "Rah-rah-roo, Ratty." All because of the farmer's dog. We saw you, our producer, Rob Scirocco, is like, did you see Logan Webb bring out the lineup card the other day? Well, that was not, how do we get to do that? Was that your name on the job wheel chart?
No, that's a Bomel thing. He if you watch our games, everybody, I mean, pretty much every day it's someone different, I think. And if you're hot, so if the team wins, you do it the next day.
Mm.
I think when I did it, we ended up winning 3 straight. Um, so then I've done it. Cobb's done it a couple times. He was hot for a little bit. Our hitting coach Pedro has been doing it for a while now. We won a decent amount of games, so he's been doing it. So that's Bomel's thing. He loves having different guys do it, and I think we were struggling pretty bad when I first did it, and he was like, "Hey, let's just change things up. Have you go out there and." He makes it fun. He makes you, when you come in, you got to look at the line. He's like, all right, tell me what it is. He tells you what to look for. And, he makes it a blast. And I like doing it. I like doing it. He there's also a little strategy to it. He wants us to, especially the starters, talk to the umpires, make sure you know everyone's name, introduce yourself. So that's been kind of cool getting to know the umpires a little bit more other than, when I go like this before the game. So, I know a couple of them already pretty well, like Doug and talk to CB a little bit, Bill always, but there's always, you have your umpires that you always say hi to and you kind of talk to, but it's good to know some of the other ones that maybe don't talk as much.
Yeah, I could see that. A lot of umpiring news this week around Major League Baseball with the retirement immediately of Angel Hernandez. Do you have any Angel stories for us?
I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think he hasn't called that many games that the Giants have really been a part of. I've never had him. I don't have any good ones for you. I do remember. Bomel talked about it the other day when he retired. He was talking about the Adam Rosales home run in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching that. Vividly remember watching that. I remember watching it with my dad. And I was an A's fan, so I was, and it was a home run. It should have been 4-4 instead.
Total.
It's 4-3. They ended up losing the game, and I remember screaming at the TV. I was freaking pissed. And I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know who Angel Hernandez was. I just, and now I see it, and you see all the things, like there's been a couple games where Angel struggled. There's no question about that. He's had his controversial games that he's had, but I'm gonna be honest with you. There's a couple umpires that are just as bad. It's not just him. I won't name names, but there's a couple that are also just as bad. So, I think it's unfair in a way that he gets as much hate that he does.
I agree with that. I thought two things. I think you can be bad at your job, but I also think the amount of vitriol out there thrown his direction, like I blame it not only on him being bad, but on the sport in general, because the umpires union is so strong. They haven't figured out a way. Like if players are bad, you know what happens? You guys get sent down or you get released.
100%. Who
If you
said
don't,
that? Who was talking about? Was that Carlos Correa? Was that Correa that was talking about that?
I don't know. I mean, I've heard it in a lot of
Someone
places, but we mentioned
someone
it on
said
our
it.
show.
Someone said it. I think like a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was someone was saying like, "Hey, these umpires should be, graded and sent down. If they're not doing well, get sent down. Like players have to get sent down." I think that'd be a great system. And some of them are just like you tell them that it was a bad call, right? Some guys will. There's just like an ego to it, right? They get mad. They're like the way they talk back to you. I don't know. It's just it's a tough look sometimes. You're just like, hey, I'm just telling you that those are strikes or those are balls or, then they're yelling at you for no reason. And it's a little tough.
So do you, I mean, first of all, you have to get checked for substances, every other inning or whatever it is. But do you have discussions when you think you're getting squeezed? Do you talk to guys behind home plate, or do you let your catcher take care of that? Do you just mumble under your breath? What do you do?
Um, I was taught real young when I had Buster and Stephen Vogt. I had Kurt Casale real young. The one thing they always said was, it was Stephen Vogt mainly. He was like, never. I think my first year is my second or third start, and I thought he missed a call, and I kind of threw my hands up, did all this, and it was an older umpire, and Vogt got mad at me. He was like, "Hey, don't let me handle this." He goes, "Don't you ever." He goes, "At some point in your career, because you did that, he's going to get back at you, 100%." And after that, I remember I went back and I apologized to him, and there's times where you can probably sense the frustration on me. I don't really ask. I don't ask like, "Hey, was that up? Hey, was that away?" I'll probably do a dickhead stare walking off the mound every once in a while, but there's no, there's times where I'll ask the umpire, "Hey, did you have that one pitch? How down was that?" And some umpires will say, "Hey, go look at it. Let me know." I've gone back and I've looked at it, and usually I'm wrong, right? As a competitor out there, and sometimes I'm right, and I'll tell him, "Hey, I'll tell the catcher usually, like, hey, tell him he missed that pitch. Like, don't be a dick about it. Just say, hey, it's like one thing for me is because I do live down in the zone, I throw my two seam or something up, and sometimes I think it catches the umpires off guard, right? They're like sitting down, and then I throw one up and they call it a ball, and I'm like, hey, just tell them, be prepared that I'm gonna throw a couple more up this inning, or a couple more up this game. And usually umpires are cool with it. They're never it's the ones when you show them up on the field, right? And I understand that they don't want to be shown up, but I think sometimes there's you don't need to yell at someone if you ask politely, right? But there's also players that take it too far too, right? That yell at them, that are mad. I used to always love watching Bum out there. He was not shy about what he thought it was a striker ball. So I think you got to always communicate. Talk to guys, ask guys, hey, where do you think that was? Sometimes I always do it too. I will say I've made comments in the past. Usually I think something was a strike, and I end up giving up a hit or give up something, and then when they end up scoring, and I'm covering behind home plate, I'll make a comment then, and then I feel bad about it. I usually say it under my breath. They probably can't even hear it, right? But yeah, I think you get frustrated out there sometimes. You're competing, but they're competing too out there. They're trying their best. I don't think they're not trying to be good. And at the same time, there's a lot of these pitchers aren't. It's not like they're throwing 85, and I'd have trouble probably calling strikes and balls for some of these guys too, right? Mm-hmm. 99 with sink or cut, or rise balls at 102. It's tough.
No, I get all that. So Rob Manfred came out and said, "Listen, we're not going to have the automated strike zone next year." Are you disappointed?
Not at all. Rosie, I get the most. I think the last 2 years I've gotten the most out of zone called strikes in baseball. If you watch Giants baseball, Patrick Bailey is very good back there. Mm-hmm. Very good. And I throw a lot of pitches that are probably borderline. So I think it was last year before it, or I think combined, I get the most out of zone called strikes. So I'm not too excited about that coming to the big leagues. So we'll see. And to be honest, I've heard everybody that comes up hates it. They don't like it. I think it's more the hitters that want it. But I also think too, you hear stories about guys like they'll challenge it and it's a strike by this much, and they're like, you kind of feel like a dumbass after that. But Because it's what I don't know 100% the rules. I think it's like
Well,
you get three.
but that's the
It's like
thing. Is that Manfred said they're not even that far down the road that
yeah,
they have to determine how much of a challenge system it would be. Like there's a lot to unpack. It's not going to be here next year. That's all we know. I would be surprised if it's even here the next year. You know how baseball works. Things
yeah. I
move.
mean, they want to speed up the game, right? That's the
Right.
whole point of the clock and everything that they're doing. From what I've heard from everybody, it slows down the game.
Mm.
It slows down the game a ton. Um, and I think the clock speeds things up. It gets more hitting. I think you know pitchers are throwing more strikes now because you have to like it's quick, right?
Hmm.
You don't want to be in that inning where you walk two in a row and it's starting to speed up even more. So I think um, there's a lot of walks. You look at AAA games or AA games. I don't know if AA has it, but AAA games that has the ABS and guys that usually don't walk people are walking a ton of people, and they're having trouble kind of figuring it out because pitches that you think are strikes are actually balls, right? I know I don't, like I said, I don't know the system. I know like during the week on certain days it's all ABS, so it's just literally just the zone, and then on the weekends it's the challenge system.
Hmm.
But the days that it's just the ABS, like it's tough, right? It feels like it's this big. It feels small for the pitcher, and that slows the game down. Walks slow the game down. So I don't know. I don't know what their necessarily the goal is for that. I also like the human element part of it. Uh, I think I love the replay system, but I also think it'd be cool to have it takes out the guys getting thrown out more, right? You love seeing a
Hmm.
manager go out
Of
there and
course.
scream at an umpire. Now you can't because it's like, well, there's a whole replay review center that are you can't yell at the umpire. He's not doing anything wrong, but um, I like the human element part of it.
Father's Day is right around the corner. You're like, my God, my dad has everything. Well, not everything. You can get him this bad boy. Ridge wallets are back with a brand new product. You can get their signature wallets with your favorite MLB team logo on it. The officially licensed debut collection includes not one, not five, not 10, but all 30 major league teams. I love it. Obviously, it's something simple you can just slip in your pocket, put in your front pocket, by the way. They're not going to steal it that way. It's got room for a dozen cards. It's got room for cash as well if you're still a cash carrier. They look great. And listen to this. Hear that? They are indestructible. They make for the great Father's Day gift or birthday gift, or if you just want to get your old man a gift, it's perfect. Wallets have over 100,000 five-star reviews as well. Durable material. I just proved that. Each wallet comes with a lifetime guarantee. And if you don't love it for whatever reason, I haven't run into one person who's like, yeah, that wallet sucked. You have 99 days before you can send it back. 99 days. No questions asked. So just head on over to ridge.com/johnboy to pick up yours today. They're offering markdowns of up to 30% for Father's Day. So if you want the perfect gift and save some dough, head on over to the ridge.com/johnboy today. All right, so you guys just had a really interesting road trip through Pittsburgh and New York where there were like four straight games where you came from 4 runs down. You also had a chance to see Paul Skenes. Now, you didn't pitch that day. I love it. I mean, I know he's the shiny new toy and stuff, but as a guy who does the same thing as him for a living, how impressive is he?
Yeah, I honestly the Jared Jones pitched the day before, and I think both of them, there's a bright future for both of those guys. It's electric, right? It's those guys are throwing 100 every pitch.
But is
Nasty off
Skenes
speeds.
is Skenes different? Is he that different?
Yeah, I think he's throwing that like splinker thing. It's I mean he's pretty much Duran, but as a starter when you think about it, right? He's throwing 100 with a splinker at 96, 97. I mean that's what Duran does, and you watch. Duran pitched, no one likes the U.S. hitters. No one likes to go up there and face him. And I think it was kind of the same thing, for our hitters. And he throws the shit out of that splinter thing. It's almost as a righty, uh, you kind of got to go up there thinking sinker almost, instead of thinking of it as a splitter. You got to think, okay, this guy's it's just a 96 mile per hour sinker. The hitting coach was saying it actually has the same characteristics as my two seam. Except he throws it 6 miles per hour harder than I throw my fastball. So it's like, I was like, man, all right, then, all right, here's what you need to do. I said, think the other way. Just go the other way with everything. But no, it's, he's, it's special, man. It's very similar to, I was in high school when he came up, but when Strasburg came up, like the hype, I remember watching Strasburg's first game. That was, pretty unbelievable. So I mean, it's good for baseball. It's great for baseball watching some of these young guys do their thing. There's more guys. I got to watch. I thought the Scott kid with the Mets was pretty dang good too. Like I said, there's a ton of young pitchers that are pretty fun to watch. I think it's cool for me. I think it's kind of gone back to, guys are trying to get to 6, 7, 8 innings now and throw more strikes. And, one of my favorite guys, I think right now is that Reese Olson with the Tigers. I mean, it's fun to watch. It's electric stuff. There's a couple guys on that. I mean, you watch Screwball throw too. That Tigers staff is pretty fun to watch. But I think, it's like I said, good for baseball. Starting pitching. I think starting pitching is the best part about baseball. I'm a little biased because I'm a starting pitcher, but I think a lot of fans love coming to watch a guy come in and dominate for 7, 8 innings. It's pretty electric.
All right, so let's talk about a guy who's going to get, I think, the third game against the Yankees this weekend, and that's Blake Snell. We know he signed right before the season started, and he's been dinged up a little bit. He went on a quick paternity leave. He just hasn't been able to get into a rhythm, and he's a notoriously slow starter anyway. After his last start, in which he only went, I think, 4 innings, he came out and he talked about the struggle that he's had. And I want you to listen to this and then give a reaction.
I thought I did everything I could to be ready. And then even just after 2 weeks, like noticing how much better I was throwing the ball, just being here every day. You can't, there's nothing like, you have to go to spring training. So hopefully, for me, I hope teams see that. And I don't know what Montgomery's doing, but I bet it's tough for him. Like, it's not easy. So I didn't face a big league hitter until I pitched my first game in the big leagues this year, and it's tough. You just have nothing to go off of. You're just kind of like, oh, let's see what we got. Faced 18-year-olds, but so it's all excuses, but it's the truth. Yeah.
What do you think?
Go look at my spring training this year. I was fucking terrible. I think I had a 13-year. I couldn't figure anything out. And to his point, right? He says he felt ready. I felt ready. I think about my off season. I was excited. I felt great. And then I got to spring and I could not get anybody out. Like nobody out. I got my fucking tits lit. It was bad. It sucks. It was hard for me to watch the whole free agency thing go down and not, I know how important spring training is. It is true. Spring training is very important. I think getting in there, throwing, and you do throw different at the field than you do in the off season. It's just there's an adrenaline thing. It's just different. Right? You're wearing cleats. You're not throwing on pavement. You're not throwing indoors. And he got there late. I remember he threw a couple pens. He looked good in his pens, and I think he threw 2 to 3 live BPs. I remember he threw in Dodger Stadium. He threw a 5-inning sim game against our hitters. I think there was 3 hitters for 5 innings. That was it. That was his build up to pitching games. And big league hitters are big league hitters. They're better. They're just, they're good. There's no every team is good. Every lineup is good. Every player is good. And he's, like he said at the end, right? Excuses. This is excuses, but he knows he's saying it. But it's the truth. I think it is tough to not have a spring, to not build up. It's hard. And even, he's not. He's working his butt off every day. He's trying to be Blake Snell. He's trying to be the 2-time Cy Young Award winner that he is. He knows he's a slow starter too. I think, after his last one, he was like, man, this is the hardest start to a season he's ever had. And I feel for him, man. He's he has an expectation of what he wants to do every time he goes out there. And it's close. His stuff is there. I think it's just building up again. And that's what spring is for, right? I know my first 4 inning outings, my first 5 inning outings, I stink because it's like, man, I feel like I haven't pitched in the 4th or 5th inning, or I haven't faced these, the 1-2 inning outings are easy, and it's not easy because I still stunk in those ones too. But like you're just going out there and you're throwing, right? And you're like, I don't care if I give up 4 today. I'm just going out there. I'm, giving some good bullets. Then it's like the 4 or 5 inning outings. You got to remember that you're pitching. Again, you got to learn how to get these guys out the second time, the third time. And he's having to do that in games where he's being judged a lot more than he would be in a spring game. So it's close. He's throwing hard. His breaking balls are it's the same Blake Snell that I've always watched. It's the same Blake Snell I got to pitch against a couple times last year on the other side and watch, and it's close. So I think he's gonna be just fine. He's gonna be just fine. It is tough though. As a fan, you want to go watch, Cy Young Blake Snell. He's close. It's close.
I understand all that. There were a lot of people, because we brought that topic up on our other podcast on Baseball Today, and there were a lot of people in the comments who were saying, well, shit, if you wanted to be in spring training, then just go accept the deal. My point is that was his big moment, right? He had worked very hard to get to free agency. Scott Boras told him whatever he told him, and he thought he was going to earn X, and he ends up earning Y, and all that sort of stuff. People forget, like for fans, it's just a game. For Blake Snell, that is his livelihood on top of everything else. So, and I don't expect fans to understand that portion of it. He did say something interesting. He said that I hope teams understand it. Like, I'm sure the Giants aren't happy they're paying a guy $31 million this year to stink. Like, they can't wait for Blake Snell to be good in July, because we don't know that one loss that you guys suffer in May might be the difference between making it to the postseason and not making it to the postseason. So I just hope there's some give and take and people can learn from this. I'm a big let's learn from things instead of go, see, you were wrong. I'd rather have both sides learn from this. Not great for the player, and it sucks for the team too.
Yeah, I'm I'll always be pro player.
Absolutely, I get it.
I want those guys. It is tough to see that play out the way it did. Right, he won the Cy Young last year, and he ends up signing a 2-year with an opt out after the first. It's tough. It's not great. I don't think for baseball in general for that to happen, but I'm not in those talks. I'm not in the. I don't know what happened. I do know, Alex Cobb, when he signed with, I think it was with the Orioles, he didn't sign until it's like the same time that Snell, I think, signed. And Cobb talked about how tough it was. And I think that year, I don't think Cobb did very well until like July. He, before it was happening, him and Snell are pretty close. They knew each other with Tampa. He was like, it's going to be tough because it's hard to, even position player sides, right? Chappie didn't sign until probably halfway through too. And talking to Chappie, he was, chomping at the bit to get somewhere, right? It's just different. You got to get in there. And I do hope teams learn from this. I hope players learn from this. But you're not gonna tell a player, okay, hey, you just take this deal because you got to get there for spring training, right? I mean,
No.
I don't even know if did he have a deal? You never know. I don't. There's always articles and stuff that said, "Hey, this team offered him X, Y, Z," or this. You don't know for
Well,
sure.
who do
I
you
don't
think's
know if
planning those? Who do you think's planting those? I mean, of course, it's the teams that are going to say that they want to look good for their fan bases. The only thing I would say is that, and I tell this to fans, I say you can cheer for or be upset at or whatever you want to do. You have your own brain. But I say this: I have never, as a fan, gone to a game to go watch an owner own. Like,
exactly.
not once have I ever done that. I'll respect the hell out of them if they made it on their own in the world and they had enough money to go purchase a team. Good for you. Like, that's awesome. But I'm not coming to watch you do that. I am
No.
coming to watch the best players. And people are like, oh, well, they get to play a kid's game. Well, guess what, bro? I ain't coming to watch you. I wouldn't watch you go play catch in the backyard. So
Yeah.
they are different than us. I want to go watch the best in the world go do. And so that's why I've always been on the side of the players. Always.
I think honestly the bigger issue is that the fact that there was, I'm going to bring up some guys that signed later. 2-time Cy Young Award winner, Platinum Gold Glove winner, MVP Cody Bellinger, all these guys that were signing late, and you hear all these things, and it's like, well, there's only 2 or 3 teams interested. Why are there only 2 or 3 teams interested? You know what I mean? Why aren't there more teams trying to be competitive and sign these very good players? They're very good players. You look at all these guys around baseball, and it's like, why was there? I look back at the Shohei thing, right? He signed for $700 million. I get it; it's a lot of money, but if I feel like all 30 teams should have been trying. Like, that is the goal is to get the best players and to win. Why is that not happening? I think that's the bigger issue, right? And I think that's why some of this stuff happens, right? Where there's only 2 or 3 teams interested, and the teams know that. So it's like they use that as like, okay,
Of
why?
course they do.
I know the only other team is this team or with this team, so I can wait as long as I can, and I'm gonna get the best deal out of it. And look, I get both sides of it. I hate both sides of it, but I think that's the bigger problem is that more teams aren't trying to compete. More teams aren't trying to have a bigger payroll. I mean, these owners are owners for a reason, right? They're rich. As fans, I think as fans you should be more mad, right? Like, I want my team to go get the 2-time Cy Young Award winner. I want my team to go get this Platinum Gold Glove winner. I don't know if you watch Giants games, but Matt Chapman is freaking unbelievable at third base. It's literally a pleasure to watch him play every single day. So if I'm a fan of another team, I should be saying, well, hey, why didn't we try to get this guy?
I know. I hear you.
Well, well, well. It finally feels like baseball season, and yeah, it's a little early to start looking at the standings and scoreboard watching, but it's never too early to get in on all of today's action at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, select the squad, and place your first bet. It's that simple. New DraftKings, new customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least $5 and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. That's so good. So download DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code ROSE. That's promo code ROSE only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Enough about the business of baseball. Did you get to go play with Chapman's dog the other day?
I did, yeah. Yeah, she's cute. She's a good dog. Great person. Her running around was great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
she broke up the Phillies infield, I think.
yeah, that was on purpose.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
just kidding.
Good strategy. Good strategy. Yeah, that looks like an adorable dog. Holy smokes.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. She just chills too. When she's in there. I think that's the second or third time she's been in there. First time on the field, but yeah, she'll just sit at Chappie's locker, or I think she sits by our one of our nutritionists. She'll just sit there the whole day, and she's awesome. She just sits there. She just loves people coming up and petting her and playing with her toys. So it's awesome.
I love that. I would be getting down and dirty. Like, I don't mind. I'll be honest with you. Like, our dog is the love of my life. I just adore her. We rescued her over a decade ago, and she's the sweetest. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I will bite her dog toys to play with her. I will. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It's not the most hygienic thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I can't sit here and judge you. I've probably done it before too.
Good.
My dog is my best friend by far.
Yeah.
Love my dog.
What's your dog's name?
Oakley. It's Oakley. He actually went to the field yesterday. He shit on the field instantly.
No.
That's his thing. That's his go-to. He go to anytime to any new place, any new grass, turf. I'll bring him in the off season to my workouts. First thing he does, takes a shit on the turf. I think he's like, it's his territory. I get it. He's an alpha. No, I'm just kidding. He's a good dog though. He instantly though the other day went shit on the field, pissed on the field. I think the grounds crew was probably pissed at me, but I letting him run around was awesome.
Okay, wait. You bring plastic bags with you and clean up.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. I'm not a dickhead.
Well,
of course I bring the plastic bags.
Can I tell you something? We took a walk with our dog the other day. Somebody shit not even on the grass in our front yard, on the fucking cement. They left a dookie there.
That's the worst. I do have a little pet peeve with that. I see it happen far too often. Dogs taking a shit and they're just leaving it there. That's not cool. That's not cool.
No, it's worse than that. And I had this debate with Austin Hedges, who's a regular on this show. I won't even, when we're taking the dogs for a walk and it's the day before trash day, so everybody's got their trash cans out, I won't even put our dog shit in somebody else's trash can. I wait until we're done with our walk and put it in our trash can. Yeah. And he said no. He said you can put it in anybody's trash can. I was like, that's kind of rude. I'm sorry. Would you like it if I just knocked on your door and took a dump in one of your toilets? I don't think you'd like that.
Yeah. I never looked at it that way.
Where do you sit on this? Or shit on this, I guess.
I've never looked at it that way. I will say I am guilty of throwing the bags in other people's trash can. But I kind of agree with you, right? Say you go out there, throw the trash out, and it just hits you right there. And you're like, what the fuck? That. It kind of is. It's a little rude, but I don't know. I don't want to carry it for that long.
I get it. I understand. I get it. Yeah, carrying. I'm not asking you to check through TSA with the stuff. I'm just asking you to get. Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Just think about it the next time.
All right, I will.
Do your neighbors know who you are?
Here in the Bay Area?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they do. They're awesome though. So my across the street is the realtor of this house, so she's kind of the one that gave me this house. So
okay,
so she knows who I am. Then they're awesome. They got a bunch of kids running around here, and they always, if they're outside, they'll scream at me when I drive by or say hi. And they all love my dog. My dog runs around and plays with all the kids, and super. I mean, I live in a freaking awesome neighborhood, so it's I don't care. I don't care about all that.
No, I just think it's cool. I never grew up near a professional athlete or anything, but that would be have you ever played catch with the kids? Do the kids want to do that or anything?
No. So one of them they have a batting cage across in their house, in their backyard, and they're always telling me to come over there and hit. I haven't done it yet. I might go over there one day and talk to the kids, hang out with them, and watch them hit. Maybe take a couple swings.
No. You're allowed to hang out. Love it, even if you just want to just toss them, whatever.
Down low.
Last thing I need out of you is pulling an oblique.
Okay.
What were you doing?
Right.
I was hanging out in the neighborhood at the kids' batting cage. Last thing I need.
You're right. Okay. All right. I won't do that. I'll just go hang out. I'll give him some tips on hitting. But I won't swing. But yeah, it's. I haven't played catch with them. No, I haven't. But no, I always say hi. I don't. I was actually thinking about that the other day. Like a couple of the kids, they go to, I think, De La Salle. I'm in that area, and I was wondering, like, if they do go to their house, go to the school, or because I know a couple of them on the baseball team. Like, do they say, "Hey, I live near a couple baseball players"? Because it's not just me in the neighborhood. There's a couple of us. So I always wonder if they do say that. Because I think looking back at high school, I for sure would have told everybody, like, "Hey, I live next to these guys, San Francisco Giants players."
I'm going to answer the question for them. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Particularly if they're baseball players, there's
Yeah.
no way in the world they're not mentioning that. Like, do you remember the first athlete you ever met? Did you ever run into anybody in the Sacramento area or anything?
Yes, I do. I probably met before this, but at my elementary school, his kid was my brother's age, and he was, I think, first grade. I was sixth grade, whatever. It was Ron Artest, his kid. They lived right up the hill. You knew exactly where his house was. He's in a gated community, but he lived right there, and he would always. I think he was cool. He was always nice when kids would always run up to him. It's hard to miss. It's 6'9" or whatever he is, 6'10".
Massive.
And he'd walk on our campus, and it was cool. I think that was the first time though. Like, and we talked about it all the time. Like, hey, Ron Artest, like, everyone's Kings fans up in Sac, so everyone, that. I don't know if his name was Meta World Peace though at the time.
No, I think he was Ron Artest.
I think he was still Ron Artest. Okay.
Yeah. That's a good one. I remember my brother, our family was visiting more family in Dallas, and it was during the NCAA tournament. So this is probably 1985, and we're at like a mall, and my brother and I, we're huge sports fans, and Karl Malone was the dude, right, in college. Goes to kind of a smallish school, but we're looking at him. We're just eyeballing him. And you can tell when people are staring at you, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we're just looking at him like this. And I was like, that's the mailman, isn't it? We get in the car, we get picked up, and he's still looking at us, and he gave us the little wave goodbye. And I was like, the mailman just waved at us. Heck yeah. Like, that is awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's great. That's why, you always got to, when I'm at the field, I always try to, even if I don't sign, sometimes I got to go do stuff. So I know some fans get a little mad when I don't sign, but it's like, I got to go work too, right? I got to do some stuff. But I always try to wave. I always try to say hi or something, because you never know, that might make a kid's year, right?
Totally.
So you always got to try to at least acknowledge them and say hi, and I think it's cool anytime you see the kids out there, and
it's great.
It's awesome. That's why we do what we do.
All right, two other things, and then I'll let you go work. One is with Chris Webber, since you are a Kings guy. Mm-hmm. I went to a small private school in Cleveland, Ohio. He went to Detroit Country Day, small private school in Detroit. But we used to have a home and home series every year. So he came into our gym. He was a year behind me, and I was the manager of the basketball team. Shockingly, not a good athlete, but loved being around teams. So he came into our place as a freshman, 6'8", he was not 14. He was 14, but he wasn't 14. He starts doing pregame dunks and all this sort of stuff. I remember walking up to my dad. I was like, Dad, should I ask for his autograph now or wait till he's like in the NBA? Because he's going. Sure enough, a few years later, number 1 pick in the NBA. I was like,
yeah,
he was a freak. He was a freak.
Yeah.
He was good.
C-Web was he's part of the reason why I became such a big Kings fan. I mean, he was the best player on that team. That team was unbelievable. It was fun to watch.
Hell yeah.
And
sorry, Doug Christie kept throwing it off the backboard, bro.
Yeah. I know he didn't. And didn't he deny when he first got traded to the Kings? Didn't he say, I'm not going?
Yeah, I think that was it.
and it's crazy now. You look back at it, I think he still lives here. I could be wrong.
Wow.
I know he used to. I know he used to have a restaurant here, and but you see him at Kings game all the time, and I always tell guys. I mean, Sac's a sneaky place, right? It's a good place. I am excited for I know the A's are going there. I'm not excited that they're leaving Oakland, but I am excited that Sac gets to kind of show that it's a great city. I love, like I said, a little bias, represent. I love the 916, but I do enjoy being there, and I do know that, when C Webb went there, he didn't want to go there. He's not the first one either. There's been plenty of NBA guys that I get it. You want to be in LA or Dallas, Houston, New York, some of these places that NBA guys like a little bit more. Miami, I get it, but I think Sac's sneaky.
Yeah,
Represent. Great place. It's like Cleveland.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that. We're similar. All right, last thing. Kyle Harrison was pitching this week and got a little too close to Bryce Harper on consecutive pitches. It happens. Harper even said afterward, listen, he wasn't doing it intentionally. Just not fun getting hit in the face. Coincidentally, he got hit by Blake Snell in the face, I think, a year ago or whatever. It happens. So we did have a little bit of a dust up there. So what was your role in this whole thing?
I was, I hate admitting this, but I was in the clubhouse. So I sprinted out there. I was down there at the end. And I was talking to Stubbsy a little bit. He was kind of over here somewhere, and I was kind of talking to him. Then I asked Harp, I was like, "You all right?" He said, "Yeah." He was like, "I'm good." It's tough, I understand guys don't. I was a hitter once. There was a couple balls that came close to me, and I didn't like it either. It's not fun, like we talked about earlier. Guys throw hard. Kyle's got a great fastball, and Bryce has gotten hit before, and it's tough, right? I don't know. I couldn't tell you his scouting report now, but for a lot of guys, up and in is the way to beat them, and that's kind of the nature of the game sometimes, and that's Kyle's miss. When he does miss, it's kind of that arm side high, and you never want to see something like that. But I think it was more his teammates, it was Bryce's teammates that were pretty pissed about it. Which I'm in a dugout.
Yeah.
When one of our guys almost gets hit in the face or gets thrown at, you're the first. I'm the first one to say, hey, or figure it out, stuff like that. And some of the comments that were being made to Kyle were a little unfair. Saying he shouldn't be here or he shouldn't do this, and that's a little tough. I think that's kind of I think there was a little dust up at the end. I think Pat Burrell was kind of in it. But Pat sticking up for our guy because their guy was yelling at Kyle saying you can't be in this league if you can't throw it over the plate. And it's like, who are you? Sort of thing. Kyle's the sky's the limit for the kid. He's the number one left-handed pitching prospect, or he was, and I don't think he's a prospect anymore. But I'm I'm very close to Kyle. He's grinding a little bit right now, and I'm super excited for his future. And I didn't like hearing all that stuff too, but I get it. It's baseball. It's no one likes seeing that.
No, we get it.
In the old days, it happened all the time.
Oh God, dude, too much. I didn't love it. Have you ever been charged? By the way, anybody?
I have not. I don't think I don't hit many people. There was one time I came close, and I came close to the head. I've hit people, but usually it's like a lefty slider that I accidentally hit, or like a sinker that runs in and hits them on the I always hit the elbow guard, so I don't even get like the satisfaction of like, hey, that hurt the guy. You know what I mean? It's just the elbow guard, and then like, yeah, it's fine. But there was one time, I think it was Christian Walker. I just missed. I think it was later in the game. I missed up and in, and it was the first pitch of the at bat. I didn't come close to throwing a strike after that. I felt like shit about it. I apologized afterwards. I, said my bad. But yeah, it's always tough. I don't, Harry did not do that on purpose. He didn't throw it at him on purpose. I don't think Bryce should have yelled at him after the first one, but I think it was probably not the first time Kyle threw up and in at some of their lefties. So there's emotions in it. You're competing. No one wants to. And Harp's been hit in the face before, and that sucks. I think he yelled at Blake. Snell was kind of talking about it. He yelled at Blake a couple of years ago. I think he hit it when he broke his hand or hit him in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's tough. It's always tough. You never want to, as a pitcher, you never want to hit a guy up there. But no one's really throwing at it. You can't throw at each other anymore. No one's trying to do it on purpose. It looked a lot worse because it was the next pitch. You know what I mean? But you're trying to get one of the best, if not the best hitter out in baseball. So you're trying you're trying harder. He might have missed. He just missed. So
yeah, we get it. It happens.
But no, I've not been charged. I've been chirped at from the dugout. I think there was one game I hit a guy twice, but the second time it was on a slider, and the dugout was yelling at me, and I was like, "It's a fucking slider." I wasn't, I wasn't.
Learn the sport. Learn the sport. All right, last thing in 30 seconds. I want this. You guys are playing the Yankees. They don't come out to San Francisco very often. Is it going to be different?
Different.
Just because they're the Yankees.
Fans?
Like
100%. I think anytime the Yankees go to any place, they have a good crowd. I think you watched I was kind of watching them play the Angels, and the whole crowd was Yankees fans. So there's going to be a lot of Yankees fans. People pay to watch Aaron Judge and Soto and Stan and some of these guys. So it'll be a fun series. I think we're playing really good baseball right now, and they're playing really good baseball. So it should be a good one. A lot of cool pitching matchups. I wish I was. I don't know who I'm facing. I'm facing tomorrow. I'm supposed to face Clark Schmidt, who's been absolutely awesome this year, and I was pretty excited to have that matchup. But it'll be fun. It's not fun facing some of the guys because you got to face Aaron Judge, I'm in his book opening day last year, so don't throw it there. But it'll be good to say hi to him and say hi to a couple of these guys. I know Soto is going to shuffle when I throw a ball, and I'm going to smile at him. I love it. I think it's great. But it'll be, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Giants fans out there trying to recruit. Never know. I think Giants fans are always trying to recruit those guys. But it'll be fun. It's going to be a blast anytime he plays the Yankees. Even my grandma was like, I can't believe my grandson's facing the New York Yankees. And I'm like, so yeah, it's cool. I didn't think of it that way, but now you're making me think of it, Grandma. Now I'm a little more nervous now. But
hey, what you need to do is you need to wear an Arson Judge 99 Giants jersey in tomorrow.
If I was going to do that, I should have done it last year, opening day, Arson Judge jersey. I look back at that last year. He had a homer. I think it was the second at bat of the game. And I was like, it sucked giving up a home run, but, he was just named the captain of the Yankees. It's opening day at Yankee Stadium. I was like, if I'm going to give up a home run to anybody, it'd be this guy, right? And I was part of that process too, trying to recruit him, and he's freaking awesome, a great dude. So it was like, you know what? I don't want to give up this home run, but I'm happy it was you. You know what I mean? It was like a cool baseball moment. The crowd I couldn't hear myself think or breathe because they were going crazy. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to face him again. I know he's hitting everything and everything right now, so it'll be good. It's a good test. Good test for the team.
I love it. Go enjoy your challenge. We really appreciate your time, as always. It's good catching up with you. It won't be that as long as this one has been, this absence. So we'll see you in a few weeks, I would say. All right, brother?
Sounds good, Rosie.
Always appreciate it. For our amazing producer, Robbie Scirocco, our fantastic intern, Tommy, as well. That is Logan Webb. He might be roaming the streets with an arson judge 99 Giants jersey somewhere in your neighborhood. And if so, say hello. I am Chris Rose. We will see you next time here on the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media.